extend a warm welcome to our special guest, Dr.P.HemaLatha ma'am, retired professor in journalism and mass communication, Ms.Usha Ravelli Turaga ma'am, senior journalist and AIR senior newsreader. We have with us Mamta Raghuveer ma'am. She is the founder of Tharuni and Hemlatha.
Then slowly I came to know that this problem still exists. There are early marriages still happening. I think you must be knowing in Telugu states it is 48%. So 50% of the marriages which happen are child marriages. Before 18 the marriages happen. So I came to know about that, and we did a long struggle of almost 14-15 years on this issue. We could stop hundreds of child marriages. Now those victims or survivors are now into various fields. They are continuing their education. Some of them are into engineering, some of them into pharmacy, so many other sectors. And we are also still stopping the child marriages. But when I stopped, it was the small girl called 7-year-old Rajita, a small girl. Now, Monica. Now we have to stop maybe a 13-year-old girls. She was given ice cream so that she'll sit calmly in the mandap, so that she'll get married. So that was the thing when I started my work. We could stop so many marriages, so many children, and we couldn't stop some of the marriages because by the time we went, they have tied the tali. And it was a very difficult. Any marriage, they say in Telugu, there is a saying that you say 100, anything you say, but you have to get them married. But here, stopping a marriage is a very critical issue, very sensitive issue. I was threatened many times. I was garaved, threatened, beaten. So many things happened with me. But still we could stop so many marriages. Now the girls are into education. Now we have fought for the right legislation also. We were part of the parliamentary committee. We filed 125 cases till now, and still fighting some of the cases. So there was a long battle on this issue. And we could also file cases on child labor, where children were working in brick kilns and ginning mills. So now we could, the help of UNICEF, we could eradicate this problem. Still we have migrant labor working from Orissa and other parts. So this is about our advocacy issues. We also do a lot of advocacy on infanticide and feticide, because throwing of girl children in the dustbin still happen. We have set up julas where we collect such children and give for adoption. So we could do about 45 girls we could save, and they are into very good families now. So still we are fighting on that issue, because now Hyderabad has the least sex ratio. So we are fighting on that issue. So what we do is we help them learn many co-curricular activities, occasional trainings. Next, please. Occasional trainings so that they become confident. They can fight their own battles. Next, please. Then we also run a SMS helpline. We have given the pamphlet to you. I know you must not be having any problem, but those who have got problem, they can just text us. And it's actually run by, entire thing is confidential. It is run by a software specially developed. So whenever you text any query, so you can, the expert will get a mail and they will answer it. And they'll not even know your number. That is the beauty of it. And we got an international award for this SMS helpline. We don't have SMS helplines because I wanted to reach more girls, that too in rural where there is no internet. So SMS definitely helps them to reach us. So we could avoid suicides, we could help many women come out of the drudgery of domestic violence and also other sexual abuses, all that. We could receive so many calls, more than 2,000 callers within 1.5 years. So we are still running it. Anybody, any query. We get even a simple query like, I didn't do the homework, shall I go to school or not? So that kind of small, simple query to a very difficult one, relationship problem, love affairs, dating problems, so many other problems also, even health issues, all that we get. So we try to help them. We have very good voluntary experts with us, who are helping in that. So you can pass on that number to many of the people so that maybe you can send in your WhatsApp groups and put it in Facebook so that many of the girls, they can get some help. And we also run a newsletter for these girls in Telugu. And Dr. Hemalatha runs it. She runs a blog, FB. You can see our blog and FB for more details. Next, please. So this is the campaign we run every year, twice in a year. It's a National Girl Child Day and International Girl Child Day. This time, International Girl Child Day is on October 11th. So you can also participate. This time we are doing in a very big way. All women bikers, women on two-wheelers will be doing a big rally. So I will get you posted about that, give you the updates so you can join that. And we do, as I already said, we had produced about 6 films. Out of that, children produced them. Actually, they were trained by UNICEF on production. Even they have written the scripts, they have written, edited, everything they had done. They have not seen the camera before. Such children, rural children, they had done it. It will be quite interesting. You can see our videos on YouTube. Tharuni Varangal, you can see our videos. They have done it so excellently. Railway stations and even bus stands. So we have largest number of street children. Actually, they have runaway children, missing children, all these children come into streets. Wherever you see, even in your house or in your neighborhood or anywhere in your families, please tell them, educate them, you cannot have a child as a labor. It is not a philanthropy you are doing to the child. You are just ruining his entire childhood. So I tell them. Then we also have refugee children in Hyderabad. Do you know that? Myanmar children, there are refugees children here in large numbers in Hyderabad. Next, please. And we are also have lot of other issues like HIV affected, infected children, and also disabled children. And the substance abuse is also high, particularly whitener abuse. Next, please. Beggars, highest. This is a big mafia going on and unable to stop this. Our children beg in Mumbai and other state children beg here. So it is a big mafia. Of course, child sexual abuse, we see so many cases. Child prostitution is also very high. In every brothel, you find Telugu girls only. Most of them are Telugu girls. That too, minors. Next, please. So, you know that media is powerful. Media can transform the world, change the opinions. And Arnab Goswami every day telling us so many things, shouting at us, saying that India wants to know so many things. So definitely people frame their opinions after watching those shows, maybe reading newspapers, magazines and all. We depend mostly on because we don't want to work on our brain, so we take their opinions, their write-ups. So mostly wherever we feel that they are true, we just follow them. And nowadays, I think most of the media, they give lot of health tips. Don't eat that, don't eat this, and don't drink that, and we just follow. So it is like, that's what yesterday I was watching that Adam's show. You must be knowing that show. Adam spoils everything. Do you know that show? Please watch that. You'll learn so many new things and the truth. Okay, it influences the systems, legislatures. You know what happened after Nirbhaya incident? Juvenile Justice Act has been repealed and a new act has come, which says that 16-year-old also, if he does heinous crime, he can be punished as adults. So after Nirbhaya, why that has come? Because of lot of reporting, even international reporting done on Nirbhaya case. So because of that, they had to bring in new enactment. Of course, there is social pressure. Beyond that, they felt that the respect and the dignity of India is going, that's why they wanted to bring in the new enactment. So they brought the new enactment, although most of the child rights activists said it's not correct, because what we felt was 16-year-old anywhere, anytime, maybe a street child, maybe he can be booked into in some case, although he is innocent, and made to become a victim. So that's why we all said no, children means 18-year-old. So we should see that all the 18. So they could amend that. Now they brought in, they're saying that once the child does some heinous crime like a rape or a murder, he'll be taken to the juvenile justice board, where the board has a magistrate, judicial magistrate, and 2 social workers. So they will decide whether this boy has done it intentionally or he knows everything what he has done, and not done because somebody told him or something like that. So that thing they had brought in. So you can generate public opinion, bring pressure groups, create pressure groups, and also work as a watchdog. Next, please. So these are some of the provisions, legal provisions, which say that you cannot publish or disclose the name of the child victim. In Juvenile Justice Act 74, they had given a punishment of 6 months to 3 years. Any publisher or any publishing company or a journalist who does that can be punished, can be booked now, and it's a non-bailable and non-cognizable crime. Then section 228 of IPC also says that disclosing or publishing the victim of rape, any child victim, you will be punished. Similarly, 293 also, circulation of obscene books which has material of sale of circulation or sale of such books to minors below 20 years is punishable. 327 of Criminal Procedure Code also says that reporting a court case that deals with the sexual exploitation of a child without the specific permission of the court is punishable. Next, please. And also ITPA Act, Immoral Traffic Prevention Act, also prohibits the publication of the name of the victim. As I said, prostitution or any brothel, if a child victim is rescued, you cannot publish their name. And identification of the place, all that you cannot give. And also Cinematography Act, also glorification of crime against children and abuse of children in films. But we are unable to stop this. Recently, new films also coming which have very young children as the heroines, and they are doing recently also one film which has come, Nirmala Convent. I don't know what they want to project. 10th class, 11th class students having love affairs and all that they are showing. Then Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act. What way this is connected to children? MTPs. You know something, highest MTP rate in Hyderabad has got highest rate. And young girls below 18 are getting aborted. So we have that problem also. So a publication of the name here also is prohibited. Similarly, Press Council Act, of course, I think you all have to read and study. They also say that we have to keep in mind about the rights of the children. Next, please. Next, please. So there are few do's and don'ts. I will not go into detail. Anyway, Usha madam will deal with it. Only thing is, keep in mind the best interest of the child. That is the best thing which we can do for the children. It is the best interest, not that interest of the parent or interest of somebody else. It is the interest of the child for his better future. Then relevant programs. Next. Mundikelli. Okay. Relevant programs we have to do, and also consult proper resource persons who can give the details and about the legislations or the rights or whatever it is, and legal provisions, no legal provisions, because children are voiceless, they cannot ask you. When I was in Child Rights Commission, we booked cases against many media houses which has done, actually violated the rights of the children. Even the shows, on the shows also we had filed cases against them. When the children are shown in a bad this thing, or in a risky, doing risky programs or activities. So we could file those, next please, cases against them. And also, gender equality has to be maintained. Don't tell that because the girl was in such a condition, the girl had consented, that's why she was abused, that's why she was raped. You cannot be judgmental. You cannot give your own personal opinion. All that you know. So, and encourage wider discussion so that the abuse of the children, all that can be discussed and nobody does it. Next, please. Actually, nowadays they are projecting. We had a case where a 6-year-old was raped. I will show you some of the press clippings also. They had written minute to minute what all happened. Is it necessary? It's not at all necessary. After that, I have seen 3-4 cases in a similar way. So you can see how you are impacting the minds of criminals, telling them this is the way you can do it. So when there is no need to cover the procedure, then need to cover only the report only the incidents than other things. And also, of course, don't never disclose the identity of the child, glorifying the acts. Don't glorify. Never ask children multiple types of questions. Don't re-victimize them. Don't depict a child as insignificant. Most of the time, oh, child, okay, it's he has to go through. He's like that or she's like that. So don't glorify the crime or the offender, and also project a child as a powerless and without a legal support. Don't stigmatize them. So don't give personal opinions. Next, please. Next. So here we had rescued this girl from domestic labor in Warangal. And she had gone through a very pathetic and very difficult time. She was abused every day by the owner and she was beaten so badly. So in this report you can see you should not give the picture of the girl like this. We had to again sue these paper people, press people, because they had shown the picture like this. Now the girl is in, we had to send her away from that region. We had to put her in some other school where she can continue her education, because everybody knows who's Taslima is, who's her name, her photograph. Next, please. Everything was very clearly given. It should never be done. She's a victim. How can you show her photograph? And actually, we have to show the photographs of the culprits, not the victims. If you show the culprit, then at least others will know this man is dangerous to us. At least they'll know that this fellow has done. At least they'll shame him. That is necessary than showing like this. Here at least they had turned her face. That's a little better. So anyway, what is the need to show such pictures? They should never show the picture. Next, please. Next, please. Here also, this is very recent, 2 days ago, 3 days ago we got in Times. They had shown the child very clearly. Of course, it is a corporal punishment where the teacher bet him and he had problem in the eye. Next, please. See, this is also a small girl who is a victim. She was rescued and they have put her photograph. Anyway, after nowadays, see, everything is available over the net. Maybe after 10 years, 15 years, when she Googles or does something, she'll come to know that she's gone through all this. And we child rights activists or NGOs, we try to help the child forget all that and bring back to her normal life. But what is the fun having the pictures of such children? Next, please. See, this is also a recent one. I think Usha also will talk more about that. That's what glorifying the acts. The child died. Why should they need to draw blood stains on the... It's all glorifying and unnecessarily projecting all that. And next, please. So that is what I want. So let us develop creative, sensitive and effective programs or reports that will increase awareness and reduce the incidence of violence against children. Thank you so much for your patience.
Every time I need to do a story on child rights or child issues or any incidents, the first person that I go to is Dr.Mamatha, because she has done so much work in the field She is virtually an encyclopedia on anything related to children, whether it's issues or laws or rights, or how something should be reported. In fact, I think, she would probably make a better resource person for a media workshop than me, though I can claim to have some bit of field experience. Okay. So the first thing is, I'm actually calling my presentation walking a thin line. I'll come to that later. So what is right reporting? I would just like to tell you a small anecdote. If many years ago, when we were doing a late shift in the office, then our security fellow came in and they said, "There's a girl at the gate. She's crying and she's asking, that please let me talk to somebody inside." So we went out and we brought the girl inside. She was about 14, 15 years old. She was crying. She was carrying a small bundle of clothes and a handbag. So we made her sit and made her drink water and all that. And then he said, "Who are you?" She says, "I have come from Tirupati and I have come here to meet Pawan Kalyan." So I said, "But why Pawan Kalyan?" She said, "Yeah, Pawan Kalyan has promised to take girls. I dance very well. So he promised to, he announced somewhere that he is going to give a chance, an opportunity to anybody who can dance well, sing well, talented people." So somebody in her town told her, "Yeah, we can take you to Pawan Kalyan. I happen to know his house and all that." So she came along with her pair of gold bangles and earrings and all that. So while she was sleeping on the bus in the night, that fellow took her money. She had some 4,000 rupees and her bangles and all that, and he got off the bus somewhere. And she landed in Hyderabad. And she, believe it or not, she went straight to Pawan Kalyan's house. I have lived my entire life in Hyderabad. I don't know where Pawan Kalyan lives. But she went straight to Pawan Kalyan's house, and obviously the security guy said, "Get lost." So she just kept walking, and she walked almost 10 kilometers, and she landed near my office. So when she was brought in, it was about 9:30, 10:30 in the night. It was raining heavily. And that girl says, "I'm not going back because my parents would never allow me back." Not parents, she just had mother. So they won't allow me back in. So I want to work in your house. Please take me home. I'll work for you. I'll do all. I said, "I can't do that." So what to do next? I called up 100, and I said, "Okay, there's a girl here. She needs to be rescued." So they said, "Okay, we'll send a patrol van." Then a patrol van had come. It was 11 o'clock. There were 8 policemen in that van. Okay, and this girl, the moment I looked at that van, I got worried. I was afraid to send that girl alone with the cops. So I got into the van. And it was a pure spectacle. Lakatika pool, heavy rains, traffic jam, and I'm sitting behind that in the police van with the mesh. Everybody is looking at me. And I got really conscious. Okay, why am I sitting in? So we went to the police station. Then the inspector said, "Okay, leave her here. We'll take care of her." I said, "How can I leave? See, it's just a 15-year-old girl, and there are no women police there, and I can't leave her there." Then they said, "Okay, we'll send her to women police station, we'll take care of her." So, generally, I was hanging around there till 12 o'clock in the night, then I didn't know what to do. Then they kept on telling me, "Okay, you just go, we'll take care." So finally, I went home, and she was eventually sent to the women police station and then sent to with a constable back home. And when she called me, and I saw that the number is not a Hyderabad number, then I felt reassured, okay, this girl has gone back home. At that point of time, I realized that I just don't know anything about this kind of situations. What to do when somebody comes like this, and it's a child, and you're supposedly rescuing a child, but I just didn't know what to do. Who to approach, what to do, what are the rules, what are the laws, how can a girl be rescued? So that was the time I also realized that if I did a serious story on this kind of an incident, I wouldn't know what to write. How would I write? How would I frame this incident? Would I say that it's utterly wrong that a girl should run away, or utterly wrong that she should be duped, or it's utterly wrong for Pawan Kalyan to announce that he'll give a chance to talented people? Who is to blame for the entire thing? Who is to blame? Is it the parents? Is it the girl? Is it the guy who brought her out, or is it the film star? Who? Who do we blame? And what are the laws? So that was the time I really seriously got into understanding child rights and child issues. So what exactly constitutes right reporting? This is generally speaking also, and I'm telling you this by virtue of learning this from experience. I know where I fell short, where I had a problem. When I was doing my report, I did virtually every kind of reporting. I did page 3 reporting, I did crime reporting, political reporting, business, development stories, every kind of reporting. I know we covered rallies, beauty pageants, fashion shows, everything. Virtually, I have done food festivals, all kinds of reporting. So what is right reporting? These are the things I think, what it amounts to right reporting. Next slide. Next slide. So professionalism. Professionalism is what? Being on the site in the field. Now you find that, you are in many ways, you're fortunate that, you have so many kinds of media now. you're exposed to so many kinds of media. But it's also a little bit unfortunate because, there's so much of flooding of information. Especially, if you look at the number of Telugu channels that have been launched just before elections, you won't even know some of the names. You won't even know that they existed actually, if somebody is even watching them. So what happens with most journalists is they don't go out into the site. Most journalists would sit in the office, make phone calls and try to get a report. If there is a press conference, I'm busy somewhere else, so I don't attend the press conference. I call a colleague who went there, I take notes and I write a report. And I write a report as if I was there. Okay, so what is professionalism is, being on the site in the field. That is the only way to report. Second is being on right time. Often it happens that, people supposing, we are reporting the rescue of a child as, there is a press conference with the girl. By the time we reach there, if the press meet is over and the girl is gone, what are you going to write? Are you going to imagine what Taslima was like or, what would have happened? So being there on time, then identifying proper sources. As I was telling you, ma'am, my first assignment was on a fire accident. I was just, when I joined Indian Express, they just said, go report that fire accident. So my best source when I went there, I didn't know who to talk to. I talked to a traffic constable and came back with a report. So everybody in the office, they laughed at me and they said, there's a fire accident and you are most, authoritative person, there is a traffic constable. So identifying proper sources, then doing your homework, then taking care in quoting sources. Who are you quoting? Okay, saying all this because I assume all of you read newspapers, all of you listen to television reports. So when, you hear people quoting, as some ACP said, DCP said, or magistrate said, some politician said, then taking care in sensitive situations, how do you report? And then being tech savvy, that of course I don't have to, really tell you particularly, but it's extremely important. I find that many journalists, are lagging behind and either they're not able to, sometimes, probably breaking news, it's an era of breaking news. So you really have to be quick and, ensure that your report reaches the studio or whatever. Newspapers still have time, that's it. Okay, next. Okay, being communicative. When you write a report or when you say, when you present a report, you have to be careful about your language. Careful in the sense, are you using the best words or not? Are you saying the right things or not? Then get the sequence right. If there was a murder day before yesterday, and and then somebody is arrested today, how do you place your report? Whether you talk about the arrest first or about the murder first. Then be clear about which lines are quotes, which are the ones you are saying, which are the ones the people said. Then remember timelines if you are in print thing. Timelines is what? Each incident if you have to capture or you are, say for instance, a girl rescued. So when you have to get all the details, which thing happened at what time. Then in electronic thing, then no superfluous voiceover. We often find, in fact, if you just Google, you find very funny videos also. There is something that the reporter, they're doing what is known as a P2C. It's a piece to camera. So they're talking to somebody and say, supposing there is a DGP or somebody, he'll say, okay, we are investigating into the matter and as soon as we get some leads, we'll make arrests and we'll solve the case. So immediately this guy turns to the camera and says, the DGP says he's investigating the matter and as soon as there are leads, he'll make arrests. That is exactly what he said just now. Okay, what is it that you're adding? So ensure that there's no superfluous thing. If there is a visual, it's raining, you don't say that it's raining now. You could see rain, okay, right? It's like pouring. Okay, such things. And if it's a radio reporting, then you give a visual account. You remember that, you are talking into darkness. You don't know who is listening. So you kind of imagine a profile. Next. Okay, factual accuracy. Get names and places. I often find that all names are misreported. Most names, especially, when you're not familiar with the kind of name, supposing, it's not the same social denomination as you, then you forget names and places, dates and timelines are misquoted, and remember, when you're quoting, you simply can't say CRPC section so and so, but, if it's IPC, there is a difference between IPC and CRPC. Get all the rules. Next. Okay, every media report is a document. It's an historical document. We find that, you probably find now, now that we have that Quit India movement, so they bring out all old newspaper clippings and they show you this clipping. So every report is actually a social document. It often happens that when we want to research something that happened, say in 1984, what would you do? Where would you go? You just go and, you start searching for possible newspaper clippings or coverage. So, that's it. So remember that, whatever you are writing is so accurate and perfect so that 20 years later, you are not reporting wrong history. Okay? Then, and also people in the reports. As she was saying, Taslima, is somebody, who appeared. 20 years later, supposing Taslima Googles herself and sees what is happening and she's getting all these reports. So how does it, I mean, it is something, that impacts somebody, the reader. Next. Ethics. Ethics is, I see it's actually too early to talk to you about all these things because, even 20 years down the journalism, we are not sure whether like we are very ethical about in reporting and all that. But it is something really important because the subject that we are reporting, we are talking about children. And why ethics is important is that the child often doesn't have its own voice. You are becoming the child's voice. You are understanding more about the child than the child itself does. So it's very important that you do the right kind of reporting. You don't patronize the child. You don't, do the child. So ethics is, are we aware of the rights? And then do we know the rules? How to report, for instance. Yesterday I was looking at a report where two children drowned in a sump in a construction site. So they're still investigating whether the kids fell or somebody pushed them, somebody kidnapped them, what happened. And they brought out the kids obviously frozen to death. And very grotesque looking bodies. They just simply dumped the bodies there and the camera is just stuck on those bodies. They're not moving the camera, whoever is talking in the background until the entire report is over. See, it's extremely insulting, it's to the memory of that child. You don't, nobody wants, when the mother supposing, by accident looks at those visuals, say 2 months from now, how would she feel? How would she feel? Or anybody for that matter, any mother, how would she feel looking at a child twisted out of shape because, they fell in a sump and they died? Okay, and are we doing justice to the subject? We are dealing with children. We are dealing with children's rights or their issues or their problems or their health or their education. Are we doing justice to that? And are we getting the facts right? Are we getting judgmental? As she was saying, do we have I have a couple of clippings, I hope they play here. Do we have a right to get judgmental about a crime? I would like to quote another report here. On TV5 it appeared, it's a Telugu news channel. There was a crime in Khammam a few years back when a woman was murdered by her boyfriend in front of that woman's daughter, 6-7-year-old daughter. So that fellow came and he picked up a fight and he simply slashed her throat and he went off and she died. So the camera now, that television report, the reporter happened to be very quick and, he was there, even before the body was moved to the hospital. So he completely focused on the woman first. That was the first mistake. You don't focus on a murder victim's face. She was just dressed in her nightie and, bleeding from her throat and dead. I mean, how would a dead person, somebody, had a throat slash look? Not exactly glamorous, right? So, it's not even, it's humiliating that woman even after her death. Okay, then what was worse was her 7-year-old daughter, she was only witness to the crime. So this TV reporter, he makes that girl stand there just 3-4 hours after her mother died and he's asking her, so what have you seen? What happened? Who is the guy who came? So what did he do? Did he pull her, push her, slash her throat, stab her? What did he do? So that girl is innocently saying, while all this report was happening, he says, see, this is what happens if women have illicit affairs, right? If they have illicit relationships, this is what happens. So the reporter is actually deciding that she had an illicit relationship. What is illicit? Who decides? Okay. And two, he is deciding that, that is the motive behind the murder. And he just passed a judgment. Okay, this woman deserves it more or less because she was in an illicit relationship. Yeah, but what is worse is that, the child is made to go through this entire ordeal of, recounting her mother's murder that she was witness to. So they didn't morph either the dead body or the child's face. It was a pure violation of rights, making the child talk at all. When talking to the child, asking questions is not something, it should be done in a very delicate manner, as Dr. Mamatha would tell you. It's a very, very sensitive process where a child, he has to be slowly brought out of the trauma. It takes years for the child and probably never, the child never comes out of that trauma. Okay, so second is, are we labeling people? Are we saying, giving them, are they like Muslim or Hindu or, scheduled caste or Dalit or Brahmin or whatever? Are we labeling people? And in labeling people, are we forgetting the actual issue that we are reporting? Are we editorializing? Editorializing is, you would have come across the term. It is basically, where you are basically preaching. Reporters should not preach. Okay, we only report. And okay, last thing is, did you get all the issues concerned? Did you talk to all the people and all the versions, the police version, the doctor version, the family version, every version? Did you get that? Next. Okay. So I have looked at some of the stories that can be done. I think in fact, it would be helpful, just a suggestion, but now that you've been through this workshop, try looking at the media, what kinds of stories they're doing, or try just Google News, try children or something, and then see what kind of stories are getting reported. So one story could be, what positive stories where you're saying good things about kids. So I just got a couple of clippings. Good. This is a positive thing that we have a first hotline to report child pornography, which is a big breakthrough as such, because child pornography is something that we don't even acknowledge in India, like child prostitution. Then this is about an individual, a person. These are just an example. So this is an individual. Somebody who was at 14, she became a CEO of a company. Next. Negative trends, as she has shown that the negative is they have taken an incident and they've gone into the background of it and asking questions also about why school safety is not something that we pay attention to, and why we should pay attention, whether children are safe or not. So it's an incident. They've taken the incident, they've highlighted the incident, but they've gone into the back of it. How it is reported, I have a slight disagreement with Mamta. I'll just come to that next. Okay, detailed stories, where you research, where, these are what is known as, basically in media terms, are known as static stories. Dynamic stories are those which are incidents, which are evolving, which are developing. Static stories is, any time of the year, any day of the year, you can simply write this story. So these are some like that. For instance, this is poverty feeds child migration in Srikakulam. What they have done is, they have gone into an issue, one issue, single issue that concerns children in a big way. So where a lot of research is involved. They can't just simply write a story like that. They have to talk to many people, look at trends over the years, and then write a story. Next. This is columns and opinion pieces. You are, allowed certain amount of self-opinion. I mean, your own opinion. You can't really try totally, whatever I think of any incident, I'm not supposed to put it in my report. But there are certain columns, op-ed pieces, where you can do an informed opinion. I mean, opinion can't be anything, we can simply say, kill that entire section of population or drive them out or whatever. We can't say such things, but have some opinion where, this guy has written about, what he thinks is, between the lines, what is happening. Next. Okay, then see, something like this, for instance. In fact, I think from this report on, then we went up to, this is only 10,000 kids. Something, that shocks you in the morning, when you read it in a paper or when you hear it on the television, suddenly you hear 10,000 children in prostitution, or 10,000 children, child prostitutes in Hyderabad, Mehboob Ki Mehendi alone. It actually is true. It is not something we come across. Okay, so this is another kind of stories. Or how children, were made to take photographs of Delhi metro, and then there was an exhibition put up. So it's an interesting read. Okay, next. Okay, or photojournalism. So this is about the Kashmir, how children have found alternative schools and all that, how they're studying. It's an interesting, you can do, if somebody is interested in photography as well as, journalism, you can make a photo feature. Next one. Okay, documentaries is, I don't, or I know that, as a communicator, I know that, when people open a paper, this is what they will read. We are talking about gruesome reporting, right? Okay, I think I lost those video clips. I had 2 video clips actually, which is a very fresh murder case that I'll come back to that. So what happens is, we are looking at, I really need people to read my paper. I really need people to watch my channel. What to do for that? So there, there's a thin line where I'm wanting to show most effective news, and where I'm, simply breaking the, boundary and, crossing over into sensationalism. So this is where we have to, as a reporter, tomorrow when you become a journalist, you are probably, all already, journalists inside. You just need to, come out of the shell, and just start flying. That's all. So, when you become a journalist, it's a question that you will face. I mean, is it a story worth reporting or not? Am I doing it right or not? Then also, when there is a big thing happening, supposing, you go and see an incident where you see a small child crying and, you know that there's a beggar. We tend to get really carried away, we get very emotional about it, and we forget that, there are facts that need to be verified. We just report. And also because it's a thin line is, many times what my personal belief is, what my upbringing is, will get into my reporting. That will start getting into my reporting. And also because what is best for the kids is what we should remember. Whenever we report a case, we remember the rights, we ensure that they get the best deal out of it, not we as journalists. Next. Okay, you as a reporter. So why should you learn about this now? Now is a very good time because child rights or child issues are an entirely different world. It is hard to imagine what kind of nightmares that children go through. It's hard to imagine because more or less all of us come from a privileged background. More or less all of us have been given a very good chance at making something of our life. We were given good opportunities to get ourselves educated. Clothing, food, entertainment, recreation, peace of mind, counseling, emotional support. All these are not at all issues for us. But there are children who don't get any of this. You must have seen many pictures of children in Syria or Jordan or, wherever that kind of shelling happens every single day, Palestine or, or Iraq. We get pictures from there. What happens to children. But, it's not though children in conflict areas alone. It's children every day right behind our house, right probably, within a kilometer radius of this place. There are many children whose rights are violated. It's a nightmarish world. We have to understand that world. Unless you understand what it is, you won't be able to report. Child prostitution, can you imagine an 80-year-old or a 10-year-old? Can you imagine, as supposing you have it's quite likely you have 10-year-old cousins, 11-year-old cousins, young girls, young boys, how pampered they are in our homes. And just imagine a 10-year-old child getting sexually abused every single day by adults, by old men, by perverts who think, that, raping a child is something, a source of pleasure. Just imagine the child's life, what happens to the child. And it is a harsh reality. It's only one of the examples. There are child workers, there are children who are displaced, there are destituted children, there are children beggars, there are children in criminal gangs, there are children who are turned into drug addicts, as she listed out. There are many kinds of children. So that is why you have to learn about this before you actually get into any proper reporting in a media organization. Then, you also should know, when you actually get on the job, what happens. That it comes, some part of it comes only with practice. Then there are professional hazards. What happens, when you start. These are the reasons you have to basically understand. That is the reason, this workshop is, I think, is extremely valuable. In fact, I feel a bit of regret that, nobody really taught us when we were students, nobody gave this kind of workshops to us. So please understand that this may be, probably boring for some of you, but it is absolutely useful. One channel talked about, how it's a Muslim girl and then, how she eloped and apparently how they were in love. And see what happened to her finally. This is what happens when parents don't, mind what, don't keep tabs on what their children are doing. And also that, these kind of, mohabbat, wahabbat, has become a lot. So that is one report. Second report was a little more delicate. And the first report had visuals, which are really horrible. I mean, if you are the feeble kind, you will probably not look at them. Because, where the girl's throat is slashed and, she was bound and all that. So they were showing clear visuals of the dead body, of the murdered girl. The second report was a little more delicate. They at least, turned the visuals into black and white. And, he very delicately said, we are still investigating if there is some kind of relationship between boy and the girl. Very delicately said. So what I'm saying is basically this, when it comes to children, it is something that you need to take extra care. If any of you happens to have specific interest in these kind of issues, in exploring more, I suggest that you start working on them right away. Some of you may not go into media at all because, it is only one of the subjects for you and, you may find something more interesting. But in case you're serious about journalism and you're interested in these kind of issues, even if you are not serious about journalism, I suggest that you look at these issues because you will understand that there are many layers to the issue and it helps for, for you to understand how many layers are there and how you can actually play, very good role in projecting the issue. Okay?
Every child has, his dignity has to be protected. His dignity is very important for the child. That's why we are trying to teach even positive discipline, good parenting and all that. Actually, these incidents should not have happened in the society, but we can't help it because of so many issues. So, the child is involved as a victim sometimes, or sometimes he will be in a case he will be involved with something. I think you all know some of that case. Mother was killed father carrying the child, and that was projected like anything in the TV channels. So, like that, child, as though the child does not do anything, but she will be a witness to that. So, for that way, she has to be protected. Then, thin line is there. How you project the case, how you report the case. That is very, very important. You must take care that the child's best interest should not be spoiled. They must be protected always. That's what all international organizations say.